Hey guys and occasional girls, my name is GrrrVahrrr and this is Transformers War for Cybertron. Continuing the robot theme I started with Hard Reset last week, I decided to play both new Transformers games. And I guess I should start with clarifying that I'm not a Transformers fan in the slightest. I watched some cartoons when I was a kid and a couple of those terrible Michael Bay movies, which made me hate that fuckface with lie in the name. The reason I decided to play these games is that I heard they're actually good, and let's get the story out of the way, because it is not good! The whole thing is just a Saturday morning cartoon cliché which comes down to Megatron shouting about destroying stuff and Optimus Prime stopping him from destroying stuff. The stuff in question is the whole planet Cybertron, which is clear from the title. And there is nothing necessarily wrong with it being cartoonish, but it is still bad, for reasons I want to talk about from a perspective of someone who knows very little about Transformers. First of all, after finishing Transformers War for Cybertron, I've learned nothing new about Transformers. And it is crazy really, considering the fact that the action takes place on their home planet. That was a perfect opportunity to explain, or at least to hint, what Transformers are and how the society works. I know it may be too much to ask of a single game, but I need some questions to be answered. Who or what makes them? What is death for them? Can they be reassembled? I can't answer all these questions, which leaves me clueless about why the hell should I care about any of them dying. For all I know, I could be fighting same 10 guys all game that were remade over and over again in a room next door, and all that whining about them dying is due to manufacturing costs being too high. Next thing I don't get is why are they transforming on their home planet and how does the transformation work? I always thought that on Earth they use humanoid forms in order to look more familiar for a human eye, and the vehicle form in order to disguise themselves, and they can take any form they want. But why do that on their home planet? Or do they have humanoid form from birth? But where do they get the other form from? Do they go to a car dealership, but instead of buying a car they download transformation patterns? Why aren't they all transforming into flying vehicles? It would be 100 times more convenient for everybody, since they are not limited by Earth technology and can be hovering superjets. Why do Transformers use Earth-like architecture before even meeting humans? I mean, they don't need to sleep, drink, shower or use a bathroom. They are freaking robots that have communication devices, which means a more sufficient Borg cube-like structure would be a better design for storing these machines. What the hell is wrong with their names? I thought they chose all that stupid aliases they use on Earth to communicate with humans and their origin names are cool like Optimus or Zeta Prime or Megatron. But no, they use their stupid Earth names on their home planet as well. And I can't go with some retarded parents calling their kid Warpath, cursing him with stupidity of Berserk Rage. But why the hell is Bumblebee called Bumblebee? Because he's small and yellow? But they didn't know what a bumblebee is before they came to Earth. Bumblebee means nothing to them. He should be called the small yellow screw or something.
The Decepticons control the airwaves. The only secure way to communicate is by messenger. I volunteered. Name's Bumblebee.
Ratchet, this Autobot needs repairs.
I also don't get what the hell is Cybertron and why should Transformers leave? I mean, in the end Cybertron's core gets corrupted by some purple stuff called Dark Energon, and Cybertron needs to go for a maintenance period. So all Transformers have to leave because Cybertron can't maintain life on it. What fucking life? It is a chunk of metal and not like Transformers gonna starve or die of cold. Can't they just hibernate for the time the core repairs itself? They can't die of old age, so a millennia sleep is nothing for them. They won't even notice. Just finish the war and sleep, nothing's wrong with that. Despite being cartoonishly simple, I don't get characters' motivations at all. Originally I thought that Megatron was a normal Transformer, but Dark Energon corrupted him so he became evil. But it appears that I was wrong. There always were two factions on Cybertron, each has its cities and its leaders. One thinks that Primes are awesome and the other that Megatron is awesome, which results in a civil war. And like in every civil war, there are no good guys. Both sides are essentially evil because they're killing their own brothers. bitches, if this term can be applied to robots.
Now we fight enemies who were once our brothers.
From where I stand, both Autobots and Decepticons are total dicks. Both enjoy killing each other, and I do mean enjoy because they literally shout all the time about it.
That is hardly a deterrent. I will enjoy taking the Omega Key from your lifeless hands.
Come on! Overload already! No need to rush on my account. I like blasting Decepticons.
Both obey and like their leaders, and yes, Megatron can be more of a dick, but from Decepticon's campaign, I've learned that he's a good strategist, a brave warrior and a caring commander, without anger issues of course, but nobody's perfect. And Optimus Prime is the same, except he wants to bring freedom to people that don't really want nor need it. That doesn't make him a good character or a hero, just a son of a bitch that thinks he knows what's best for you. No wonder Decepticons hate him and all Autobots, since they're all like that. Or maybe campaign placement is to blame because you play as Decepticons first and later it becomes really hard to support Autobots' agenda because all you do in Autobots campaign is rescue and help robots that try to pound you into dust or rape you with a barrage of rockets in Decepticons campaign. I'm sure they're all butterflies and rainbows good, but as a player I have grudges against them, and it is really hard not to feel joy seeing Zeta Prime finally die or smile when Omega Supreme is tortured, that fucking jerk.
What have they done to you?
By the way, there were two places that left me completely confused. First one was when Optimus from the very moment he appears was all like, no, I don't want to be a Prime, that's not my thing, pick someone else. But when he gets offered the position of a Prime, he goes like, okay, without any hesitation. And why the hell did they name him the last Prime? How could they know he will be the last? That makes no bloody sense.
You are the last Prime.
The second moment was when Megatron told Optimus to leave the planet, but when they started leaving he tried to stop them. Why did he do that? It is just pointless and stupid.
Take your Autobots and leave Cybertron forever. I am ordering the evacuation of all Autobot cities, effective immediately. What was that? I told you, to stay and defy me was to die, and no one defies Megatron. He's insane.
The main drawback I feel is that Transformers are trying so hard to be relatable characters for us humans, they fail at both being humans and being Transformers, falling into that weird uncomfortable niche where Data from Star Trek The Next Generation stuck his head into and couldn't get out, robots that want to be humans. As a result, they all look like... Do you remember back in the 90s, Carmageddon had censored versions where humans were replaced with robots to get PG ratings? This is exactly how I see Transformers in this game. They don't act like robots, they don't feel like robots, they're not an alien race of robots, they're just humans in stupid robot costumes in the school theatrical play. The whole drama of this game is so painful to watch I didn't know either to laugh or stab myself in the eyes with toothpicks. So, yeah, didn't like the story. And not because the story itself sucks, but because the framework is made of snot. The gameplay, on the other hand, was almost just as bad. Transformers War for Cybertron is a third-person shooter in the most traditional sense there is. You are a floating camera behind your character's shoulder that tells him what to do. You have your health bar, a bunch of weapons, grenades, ammo and shield pickups, all which are fun, but there are so many mild annoyances in the way of fun it is ridiculous. The biggest one is visual design. It is awful. It is so freaking busy all the time I had to stop once in a while to release eye strain. Enemies blend into the environment all the time. In most fights you can't see what you're shooting at and I constantly mistook scenery for enemies and vice versa. At some point I just started shooting when my crosshair turned red. Has no one actually played this game before release? It is a prime example of bad design. But the worst thing is, everything looks small and light. These giant robots look like they're the size of a normal human. They're supposed to weigh 100 tons but feel like a bunch of feathers in the wind. Even the biggest robots don't feel big. I come to a Transformers game to feel like a giant badass chunk of metal and all I get is another boring meatbag action. I guess all the awful visual design was created to mask the fact that you are fighting like 4 types of enemies. Seriously, for all 10 chapters you fight same enemies wearing different colors. Red for Autobots and purple for Decepticons. None of the factions have unique enemy types. Yeah, Decepticons have these annoying corrupted spiders, but this is it. Fighting against 4 enemies for 7 hours is boring. Weapon variety is just as poor, but variety is not a problem. The problem is you can only carry 2 guns at once. Why? Can't Transformers memorize more than 2 guns? Seriously, what was the point of doing that? It only increases downtime during which you run around in order to find a weapon to switch to, which breaks the pacing. I got so tired of it came down to using null rifle all the time. That one shots almost every ordinary enemy, but hard to use in close range combat. Still, it was less annoying than trying to find a gun appropriate for every particular situation. Fortunately, your immortal NPC companions are always there to look after you, and I was amazed how good the AI is. It is one of the best I've seen in ages. Not a single time they got in the way. They always got your back, being helpful, shooting right stuff and not getting stuck. Guys who programmed that are the best. And yes, your companions teleport to you if they fall behind, but who cares, at least you don't have to wait for them. By the way, voice acting is great as well. I believe they got all the original voice actors and it shows. The best bits in the game are random dialogues and jokes between your companions during missions.
Into the tunnel, Decepticons, and try not to get crushed by the trains.
You're joking, right?
Yes, Breakdown. I am famous for my sparkling sense of humor. Now get moving before I dismantle you myself!
You can actually choose which one of 3 Transformers you want to play in each mission. They got their sets of starting weapons and 2 special abilities each, but for me there was no reason to play anyone but Optimus Prime or Megatron. At least I know who they are, unlike most of the others. The most unfortunate of all, the game falls flat on its face in the most important aspect that could make it stand out. The thing that is unique to the franchise. Transforming. It ended just as a gimmick you don't really need. The only time you use it when you need to travel from point A to point B slightly faster, and that's it. It could be easily replaced with a simple sprint function and you wouldn't even notice the difference. When it comes to flying Transformers, you only get like 2 missions dedicated especially to them, and you don't really fly, just navigate several tubes. It is sad how the most interesting gameplay mechanic ended up an exciting at places chore. And the final thing I want to mention is that fucking song in the end credits. Holy shit, it is bad. Please, someone, please, if you have access to it, destroy it for the good of humanity. Such an abomination has no right to exist.
Transformers, defenders of truth, robots who fight in disguise. Transformers, when the battle is through, only the strong will survive.
Overall, the game is meh. Pretty mediocre and boring. Good at places, but it is hardly a justification to play it for someone who doesn't really care about Transformers. I even think that it would be much more interesting if it wasn't limited by those piles of industrial waste and could explore new ideas. But regardless, I still want to play Fall of Cybertron because I've heard it is several times better than War for Cybertron, and I'm still interested in what they were able to do with the concept. So there is my recommendation: Transformers War for Cybertron will not make you hate Transformers! The name is GrrrVahrrr, and I shall see you from within my next video.
Goodbye, goodbye, see you again. Goodbye, goodbye, see you, my friends.